Welcome to another grammar lesson brought to you by eBenkyou.com and Genki Kids 英会話. In this lesson, we will cover active voice verb past, simple, continuous, perfect, perfect continuous. Did, was doing, had done, had been doing. Alright, let's start. Following are the different past tenses. First we have simple past. Verb past tense, as in did. For example, I ate at 1 o'clock. He ate at home. This refers to a simple point in the past where you did something. Okay, it's not a specific length of time, just one point. I ate at 1 o'clock. I ate. This refers to something that happened in the past at one point in time. And in this case, we specified at 1 o'clock. If you don't specify a time, it just refers to at a specific point in time in the past. As in, I ate. Next we have past continuous. Was or were plus continuous. As in, was doing. For example, I was eating at a restaurant. They were eating at the table. This refers to something that was happening in the past, but at a certain time period. So not one point, but a duration of time. So compared to the simple past, at one point in the past, something happened. This refers to something that happened at a duration in the past. That's why you use the form I was eating. Next we have past perfect, which is had plus past participle, as in had done. So for example, I had never eaten sushi before then. He had already eaten by then. This refers to something that happened in the past at one point and has finished at another point in the past. So I had never eaten sushi before then refers to 2 points in time. One refers to up until the point then you had never done that. So it refers to the past and the past in that point of then. He had already eaten by then means by that past point then, before that, he ate at some point. So once again, we're using 2 points in time. Nothing to do with now or the future. The only thing to do with now is the fact that you're saying this sentence now. The important part here is using the word then. For example, if I say I had never eaten sushi before, that means from anywhere in the past up until now, I have never eaten sushi. But if I add the word then, I had never eaten sushi before then, that refers to 2 points in the past. One, from the beginning of time, I have never eaten sushi, up until a certain point. And now, maybe I have eaten sushi recently, so that point is done. Okay, so remember, by adding the word then, you're adding another point in time. So you can add the word then, or before Monday, or whenever, a certain point in time. But if you don't add the time, then you don't know. And that's for the experience part. For he had already eaten by then, he had already eaten. If you don't add the word by then, you're also referring to before and possibly now. You can also assume there's a point in the past because you're using the past tense form of had. He had already eaten. Okay, lastly we have past perfect continuous. Had been plus continuous, as in had been doing. For example, I had been eating when you called. He had been eating when I arrived. Okay, so here you're referring to 2 things. One, he was, past tense, in the middle of eating when I arrived. Okay, so I arrived is 1 point, and the other point is when he started eating. So that's the duration between the time he started eating and when I arrived. And because the only thing that references the point now is the fact that I'm saying this sentence now. Okay, so I had been eating when you called. In this sentence, you're saying when you called is 1 point, and the other point is the duration of when I started eating up until that point. So you're referring to 2 points in the past tense. Okay, let's practice the sentences one more time. I ate at 1 o'clock. He ate at home. I was eating at a restaurant. They were eating at the table. I had never eaten sushi before then. He had already eaten by then. I had been eating when you called. He had been eating when I arrived. I know these are complicated and a little bit difficult to understand, but they are just something you have to get used to. But the basic form, I ate and I was eating, are very common, and I use them quite often. Okay, let's refer to some more sentences. Here we go. I left at 6:30 a.m. She slept at 11:30 p.m. I was working on the weekend. He was traveling during his holidays. I had never played soccer before today. She had already finished her homework by the time I arrived. I had been studying English for 3 hours. He had been watching TV when the phone rang. Okay, let's read the sentences at a normal pace this time. I left at 6:30 a.m. She slept at 11:30 p.m. I was working on the weekend. He was traveling during his holidays. I had never played soccer before today. She had already finished her homework by the time I arrived. I had been studying English for 3 hours. He had been watching TV when the phone rang. Okay, you read the sentences next.
I left at 6:30 a.m. She slept at 11:30 p.m. I was working on the weekend. He was traveling during his holidays. I had never played soccer before today. She had already finished her homework by the time I arrived. I had been studying English for 3 hours. He had been watching TV when the phone rang.
Fantastic. Nice job, everybody. Thank you for listening. For more practice using lessons and tests, check out eBenkyou.com. eBenkyou is a website that provides over 14,000 different lessons and tests that enable students to learn and practice English at their own pace. There are many lessons available for all levels, starting from basic vocab, phonics, and grammar. Each of the points covered will also have many corresponding lessons and tests at eBenkyou.com. I hope to see you there. Have a good day.